The market is fundamentally mispricing the back-end liability of clean energy.
Severely mispricing it.
Right. The prevailing narrative you hear assumes utility-scale solar and battery storage decommissioning is a cheap modular exercise. But the structural reality is a looming wave of massive, unmodeled end-of-life expenses.
Because the financial models you're relying on treat decommissioning as a residual line item. I mean, they drastically underestimate the transition of these assets from revenue generators to industrial scale regulated waste streams.
Let's break down the solar exposure first. Think of a standard crystalline silicon solar panel as an illustrative example. You've got this laminated sandwich of glass, encapsulant polymers, silicon, and silver.
And they are bonded together specifically for 30-year outdoor exposure.
Exactly. Crucially, they are not designed to be easily separated.
And that durability is what completely breaks the recycling economics. Ripping those layers apart, the delamination process frequently costs more than the value of the recovered materials.
So you aren't holding a commodity to be sold.
No, you're holding a net disposal expense.
Looking at the mechanics of the trade, we have to pivot to battery energy storage systems, BESS. These have a projected lifespan of 10 to 15 years with an annual degradation rate of about 3 to 7%.
Right, and the hazard profile here is categorically different. A solar panel is just fragile and bulky, but a degraded lithium-ion battery is actively dangerous. They hold residual charge and contain highly flammable electrolytes.
And if you mishandle them, you trigger thermal runaway.
An exothermic reaction exceeding 1,000 degrees. It releases toxic hydrogen fluoride, which forces BESS to be handled and transported as Class 9 dangerous goods.
Which just spikes your labor and logistics costs.
Exponentially.
Understood. But this highlights a critical information asymmetry. The industry currently lacks actual utility-scale BESS decommissioning data.
We are operating on extrapolated engineering estimates. Let's use a hypothetical simplified model to explain the BESS cost structures. Roughly 40% goes to on-site dismantling and safe packaging.
Another 30% goes straight to specialized hazardous transport.
Leaving only 30% allocated for the actual recycling.
And that recycling allocation carries a massive chemistry risk. The market is shifting from NMC, which has valuable nickel and cobalt, to LFP, or low-value iron and phosphate.
Right, so as that shift accelerates, the recycling economics deteriorate even further.
Which exposes the structural fault lines in the market. Standard regulatory frameworks are failing. Europe relies on the WEEE directive, but the U.S. is highly fragmented.
Highly fragmented. You have thin-film cadmium telluride, potentially governed by RCRA as hazardous waste, while other jurisdictions have no framework at all.
Furthermore, the industrial-scale infrastructure and specialized logistics needed to process millions of tons of fragile glass or hazardous batteries by the 2030s simply do not exist today.
If you are modeling a 15-year life cycle for a storage site, the ultimate implication is acute. End-of-life costs must be treated as a first-order capital input.
Organizations assuming the legacy number of their financial model is the actual payout will face severe capital shocks.
Watch the spread between projected recycling recovery values and actual jurisdictional compliance costs. That is where the margin will evaporate.